Hey everybody, Drew McLellan here from Agency Management Institute. This week, yet again, I spent several days hanging out with agency owners, and as always, they had a lot of questions. Some of the questions that I got asked this week were, hey, we want to niche down, but we're not sure if we're niching down too far. What is too small? Second question was, I think we should do a podcast, but I want ours to be very unique. How do other agencies decide on their podcast's focus? And the third question was, how are agencies pricing PPC today? So I'm going to answer question number 2. How should an agency decide on their podcast focus? First of all, I'm going to assume that you have thought a lot about why a podcast. Why not writing a book? Why not doing a research project? Why not doing some other thought leadership kind of content? And for some reason, you've decided that a podcast is the right tool for you to use. So some wrong reasons for choosing a podcast over something else are because it seems to be growing in popularity, because everybody else is doing it, because I wanted to be a radio announcer someday. The real reason why, the only reason why you would do a podcast is because you believe that that is the channel that is best for you to use to reach your audience. So you shouldn't even be thinking about a podcast until you have a clear understanding of two things. One, who am I creating this podcast for? Who is my audience? And two, what is success look like with that audience? What do I really want to have happen as a result of us having this podcast? So if your goal is biz dev, that you want to use the podcast as an opportunity for you to create a thought leadership position and for you to potentially put some of your prospects on as guests or attract guests to be listeners because you're interviewing people that they would like to actually have conversations with, whatever that may be, all of that's fine. But you've got to know that in advance. If your goal with your podcast is to be well known as an agency that has innovative ideas and creative ideas and maybe is a little edgy or is somebody to follow because you're always on the cutting edge in terms of your innovation and creativity, then that's fine too. But those are two completely different outcomes. And those outcomes are really going to dictate the podcast format. They're going to dictate whether or not you have guests, and if so, who would be the right guest. It's going to dictate are we going to have people sitting around a table chatting informally? Are we going to do something more formal? If you aren't clear about your audience and you aren't clear about what success looks like a year from now, I'm going to feel good about the time and money we invested if what has happened. So if we are now known regionally as sort of a hot shop, if we have landed 2 new clients, if we have been asked to speak at a conference because our podcast is demonstrating our subject matter expertise, all of this starts with those 2 questions. Who's my audience, and what does success look like in a year or 2 years? The other thing I want you to think about is a podcast is not a one and done sort of thought leadership positioning. You've got to be ready to do it for at least a year, if not 2. So let's say you're going to do weekly episodes. That's over 50 episodes in a year, over 100 episodes in 2 years. You've got to be ready to commit. So there's a statistic that says most podcasts don't live past their 7th episode. So what I would recommend that you do is that you get at least 7 episodes in the can, done, edited, ready to go, before you even tell anybody you're doing a podcast. Because you're going to know after that 7th episode if you want to keep going. As somebody who's on almost episode 300, I will tell you that doing a podcast is a commitment. It is, you are bound by deadlines, you're bound by publication schedules, you're bound by, if you have guests, those guest schedules, and it is a long haul commitment. So you want to know that you love it, before you tell the world about your new podcast. Because the last thing in the world you want to do is promise this great new channel, this great new tool that people can tune into, and then yank the rug out from under them after episode 12. So again, the mistakes I see agencies make is they are not clear about who their audience is. They are not clear about why that audience would be attracted to that podcast, and even more important, why that audience will keep listening to that podcast. It's easy to get someone to listen to one. It's hard to get somebody to listen to 10 or 20 or 50 or 100. So you've got to deliver that value over and over and over again. So great clarity about your audience, great clarity about what's going to attract them to the podcast, and then hold them there, keep them there, keep earning their willingness to trade you 30 minutes or an hour of their day for whatever you're going to share. And then what are you trying to get out of this podcast? What does success look like for you? If you can answer those questions, then you're in a good position to have a great podcast that delivers value to your audience and success to you in the agency. All right? I'll be back next week with another question and another answer.